Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday show. This is our last Wednesday broadcast before Christmas. So I thought I'd do a little bit of something differently by starting the show with some Christmas music, although it was kind of more of a house tune. And everybody has their own little Christmas hats for their avatars. Isn't it adorable?
Hmm.
Anyway,
I like it. I do like it.
how you doing, Jen? Excuse me.
I'm good.
Terry, how you doing?
Pretty good. How about you?
I'm all right, but I'm for some reason having to clear my throat a lot today. I don't know what's going on. I'm not sick. I don't feel bad. I feel fine, but I got a little bit of I don't know, maybe I don't want to say phlegm. Phlegm's ugh, but I have to keep having to clear my voice. I don't know what's going on there, but I feel fine. I guess you probably say hey, everybody in chat too while we're at it. Adam was first. It's very important that we know that. How's it going? Kiradam, how you doing, sweetie? OG Costin, Mike R. Hello, Mash. And of course, we'll have people rolling in as the show goes along. I'm interested to see how many people we're going to have out tonight because we're getting towards the end of Christmas shopping time. So I'm not sure how many people are going to be watching the show. Couple of things on the show for suggestions today. The United States has decided to send $1.7 trillion in a Democrat-created omnibus, 4,155 pages, that they're trying to pass before Friday, before the House goes away and becomes a Republican House instead of a Democratic House. They're trying to get it in under the wire. Republicans say that they want to read the entire 4,155 pages before they vote on it.
I think that's fair.
I think it's fair too.
You should know what you're agreeing to.
Trump is having his taxes released to the public for no apparent reason. We can chit-chat about that a little bit. And finally, don't know if anybody's keeping track of this, but it's going to get real cold in the States pretty soon. It's very odd in how it's going to happen because it's going to get really, really warm, and then it's going to get brutally cold. I'm looking at my screen, and it says tomorrow, it's been 30s the last 3 or 4 days. Tomorrow's going to be 41. Friday's going to be 45. And then Saturday is going to be 5 degrees.
Jesus.
It's going to go from 45 to 5. We're going to drop 40 degrees in temperature overnight.
I feel like as a Canadian, I should reach over, pat you on the head, let you know that just bundle yourself up, you'll be okay. And then also in the process of shilling this out, Twitter yet again distracted me just like it does every single time because there's always a train wreck. And my city's on there. And I'm like, what's going on in my city? Some idiot okayed a contract to put solar-powered parkade meters underneath the parkades.
Don't you need sun for solar power to work? What's the point of putting them in Canada?
Don't ask me, but I'm just like, we paid for that shit in my city. We have liberals running my city, just so you know.
Our girl Sora's in chat. Hello, Sora.
Hi, Sora.
I don't know.
She at least has sun sometimes. You know?
What's a parkade? Parkade. A parkade is a margarine. So, what is parkade?
Parkade is a place where you would park your car underground. So
okay, yeah, not much sun there.
No, like even New York has that kind of stuff. So think big corporate buildings, they have underground parking a lot of the times. Think under one of those. This is probably like 2 or 3 levels under the ground, surrounded by cement.
Solar power. I don't right through that, right into those meters. Perfect.
Yeah, we are run by some of the most special people on the planet who think, oh, if I put solar panel on it, then the people who read it will think that this is going to be green. And you realize that they're stupid. Both of them are stupid.
I saw a picture on Twitter.
Today, guys. Gunsky's already in chat. So
yeah, time to end early. I saw a tweet today, and it initially confused me, and then I understand what was going on. It was a parking lot with a lot of Teslas in it, and it had the parking lot had these overhangs to keep the sun off the cars. and it said solar powered cars being powered by the sun. And I thought to myself, well, if they're parked underneath these, how are they getting? But what I wasn't paying attention to was the things they were parked under had solar power on their roofs.
Ah.
So they kept the car cool by being under them, and they were also generating electricity to power recharging the cars as they were parked underneath. So they didn't require the official solar chargers that you see everywhere that are wired underground. They actually were running off of the solar power and had huge Tesla walls on them. So if it was nighttime, you could still get a charge from them. They still didn't require you to depend on the grid, quote unquote, the grid.
So here's the thing.
Awesome.
I'm not entirely against solar power. I'm against several problems with it. One, they keep trying to insist on putting it in places where it's not going to work in the first place. At least not enough to make it worth putting it up. You know what I'm saying? Like if you really don't have the sun for it, like we really are like 6 to 7 months with snow. Sometimes it's 8 months. You know, and when it's not snowing, there's the rain. You know, so there is a lot of time where we don't have the amount of sun that you really need to run it. Wind, on the other hand, it's the same problem. Like places they put the wind up, sometimes it gets wind, most of the time it doesn't. But there are places where it works. So it's not that I'm against it. They just, to put it out there, they're destroying things in a way that's like against what their motto is. And that usually speaks of manufacturers who are buying into something. I'm making money to sell you some green shit, you know, to some stupid rich people.
I think you're overlooking the biggest problem with solar power. It's misogynist. Why are you getting power from the son and not the daughter?
Well, from last thing I heard from environmentalists and people who are not anti-environmental, but are just kind of practical about it, they say that we don't have enough cobalt and lithium in the planet to make electric vehicles for everybody. What are you going to do when you run out of those elements? What are you going to do when you run out of cobalt? Because we're not the only ones who need it. If you want to get an MRI, well, every MRI machine has a requirement for cobalt in it.
No, you drive your electric car into the MRI. Problem solved.
Get a little bit of cobalt in your car and unplug it and plug it into the MRI and use it and plug it back in your car when they're done.
Perfect solution.
So,
well, that's the thing too, is it's not really something that's easy to recycle, is it? Like, it's not like I don't know of like solar panel fields where they've just trashed them because they're no longer usable. Like, they're not recyclable.
Well, they are recyclable, but it's cost too much money to recycle them.
So there you go. It's like changing from glass to plastic. We've gone downhill is what I feel like we've done. You know, every time they're like, oh, this is more green for the planet. I'm like, technically glass was greener for the planet.
Yeah.
And I'm just talking about drinking cups, you know, because you could clean that.
But then you're contaminating water by cleaning it as opposed to just throwing it away. There's always a yin and yang whenever you're talking about this kind of stuff. It's always, well, you can do this, but they cost you that. Everything has a cost. So personally, if I was to have something to drink, I'd rather have it come in a glass than have it come in a can. I think cans make it taste different.
Cans work for certain beverages in that way too. You know, like some things taste better from the can, and then other things are like, no, why would you do that?
Well, I don't have a very refined palate. I can't tell the difference between.
You can't?
No.
Oh my God, I can easily tell the difference between plastic, aluminum, and glass. If you put 3 Cokes in front of me, I can tell you which one's which.
Yeah, I couldn't.
Yeah, the only one that tastes acceptable to me comes out of glass, but getting glass in America is tough. You have to import it from Mexico. That's the only place that bottles in glass still. Everything here is plastic or aluminum. That's why I'd rather just do it myself. I'd rather just send me the powder and I'll make it myself, you know, instead of just having a Coke. That's why I prefer tea more than.
See, the thing is it's intensive to produce, but once you actually have a chain of it, reusing it is not so extreme.
No, not at all. It's very easy to melt
Like,
glass down and reform it. Very
think of how we used to run with milk in liters, the way that they did it before. It came in like that, it went out like that. They cleaned it and processed it too. Now, was it as clean as it would have been nowadays? Probably not. They'd have to amp up what cleaning means, but they could still go back to glass.
We do milk completely different, you and me. So,
I don't do bags.
Speaking of Canada versus United States, yeah, but you don't pasteurize either.
Yeah, we do.
You do?
It depends on it depends on the brand.
I thought the
you
bag
gotta look
stuff
at the brands.
wasn't pasteurized.
No, you got to look at the brands.
Oh,
every brand is different.
Oh,
every brand is a little different.
Won't be like that here. Everything's pasteurized, or it doesn't get sold.
Yeah, I think it's the same in Australia. I don't think you can get unpasteurized milk unless it's like direct from the cow. Like if you go to a farm.
Yeah, you guys do eggs different too.
No.
Yeah.
That's England.
Is it England?
England.
England
still does a lot of stuff a little bit old school because it still makes more sense.
They just hatch the eggs and hand it to you and you eat it, kind of thing, as opposed to us where it goes through this whole process of cleaning it and refrigerating it.
It's just that actually a lot of Europe still does the on the shelf eggs. The way that we do it, it's kind of unnecessary. Like the only reason that you stretch eggs like that out is if you're gonna keep them for a month and a half, because that's what they're doing. But in England, they're eating the eggs, so like keeping it for a week or two on the shelf is normal. It's actually okay to do that. It's just you're gonna buy the amount of eggs that you need, rather than buying in flats the way that we do. Americans, we tend to buy more in bulk than a lot of other places do. Like, I don't know about Australia. Like, I don't know that you guys necessarily do big bulk because you get, like England, you have different stuff that comes in, like imports. Like, it's just like you guys don't necessarily, okay, so I'm not sure if I'm right on this one, but you guys don't necessarily have your own oil fields, you know? So that stuff is important. It is, my understanding is it's more import than output. So like for it's the same with goods and things. Like England is very much a goods in rather than out. So anything that they can keep in, they keep in. You know, I don't know about everything because a lot of it isn't old. You know, it's weird. Like you go to York and you find like streets that are so old that you're like, holy shit. But a lot of England was like boom boomed, you know? So they rebuilt a lot of their infrastructure. It's weird. I don't really like talking about it too much without a Brit around because they explain it better than I do. But yeah, there's some stuff where you see some stuff that's old school. But yeah, I don't know.
I mean, if I were to buy eggs, which I mean, I wouldn't because I don't cook, but I would buy like a dozen at most. Like either 6 or 12 eggs would be like the standard amount that someone buys.
I always buy a 6-pack because neither me or the girlfriend really, you know, go after eggs. Every blue moon kind of deal, she'll have it for breakfast or something like that. But
see, that's kind of another reason why you would want something that lasts for like a month and a half.
Yeah.
You know, whereas in England, like and I don't know that they necessarily eat that many eggs, but like if you look at like say the hyped up English breakfast, you know, the one that you usually go to the restaurant
there's almost
for.
always eggs in there, right?
Always eggs, but they use a lot of eggs. Like a lot of their baked goods have eggs, a lot of their cooked goods have eggs. Eggs are used in a lot of things, like they're a binder for a lot of things. So eggs actually in Europe are used up.
I do like most of the components of an English breakfast. I don't like the baked beans so much, but most of the rest is good.
I just don't like the size.
Well, you're also you also aren't really cooking for yourself. Like between the two of you, you're not really the ones cooking for yourself. So it makes sense that you wouldn't want to buy that many eggs. Like if you were making everything that you were eating, you would need a lot more eggs. But we don't do that anymore. Like people don't make their own food most of the time unless they come from that situation. I envy people who who make as much food as they do.
I'm
You
making,
know,
I'm
I
making food
pay a
after
lot
the
of
show.
money to not. I pay a lot of money to not cook for myself. So
I'm going to cook for
long may that
myself after the
continue.
show tonight. I have some
but like, yeah,
some hamburger and some spaghetti and some tomato sauce. I made myself some spaghetti with meat sauce after the show tonight.
I suppose technically putting stuff in the microwave is cooking. So I guess you could say I cook for myself in some degree.
You
But,
reheat
like-
for yourself?
Yes, exactly.
This is something that I pointed out to Satsu, especially since as somebody who's really getting into cooking, it sounds like a funny challenge when you tell somebody to really explore eggs, but just read on the back of all the packages of things that you eat and realize how much is just an egg white, because egg whites are actually the thing that they go for. The protein is great. Like egg protein is in a lot of our diets because it just is. But eggs as a binder is in so many different things that you wouldn't even know. Like candy bars, anything that has nougat in it, egg whites.
Yeah, I mean, eggs are just delicious in and of themselves.
Mhm.
I mean, there's very few ways to go wrong with eggs in terms of like you can scramble them, you can fry them, you can boil. Like they're all good.
Mhm.
Eggs are very very good.
You can even make a pudding with eggs.
Yeah.
Custard is pudding. But it's just most people, like I said, most people don't really cook. Like Europe is maybe a little bit different because culturally speaking, they are different. But North America, especially, and maybe this is just my take of what I grew up with. We have a different work mentality to Europe. Like our time spent to eat, our time spent to work, our time spent to spend with our families, even state to state, that's different. I'd like to visit like different places in the States because I don't doubt there's places where you're more relaxed than others, but like city people are like that too. Like city people can cook. Some of them do. It's like a, potluck and shit like that. But most people eat out because they're tired. You spend so much of your time living in a city paying your rent that you don't have time to cook. So you just buy someone else to cook for you.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
rarely cook. My girlfriend cooks a lot, not a lot, but she often cooks. I don't cook almost at all. But every once in a while, I'll just get a hankering for something, and I just
Yeah.
gotta, well, we have everything here. We'll just make it,
So Terry in chat says it does not count as cooking unless it requires at least 5 steps. Okay. Remove the paper slip, stab the plastic, reheat for 2 minutes, remove the plastic entirely, wait for it to cool down. That's 5. I'm a cook.
Well, after you cook it initially and you take the wrapping off and you stir it, you have to put it back in for 2 more minutes to finish cooking because it's still going to be a little frozen in the middle.
Not the ones I eat, but yes, there are ones that you have to heat, take out of the microwave, stir for a bit. And
There's a meal I make. It's a Stouffer's, and I don't eat it very often because it has wheat in it. But it's elbow macaroni and like a meat sauce kind of deal, with meat and tomato kind of deal. And when you cook it, it cooks around the outside because the microwave always cooks around the outside in. So you cook it for like 3 minutes and you take off the thing and then you have to break it up with a fork. And what I usually do is I try to move the insides to the outside and then cook it again. That way it gets hit by the microwave again. But yeah, it has to cook twice. So
yeah, typically yes, there will be like cold spots in the in the meal if you just microwave it and then don't stir it.
Yeah. What I often do is if I get like a hungry man meal, I'll take the main meal, which is like usually like chicken, like breaded chicken, and I'll put that in the oven. And on the other part, I'll wait until the chicken's almost done, and I'll put the other stuff in the microwave. Because for some reason, it seems to me like if you microwave corn, it comes out nice and soft and tasty. But if you put it in the oven, it comes out kind of a little harder because it's a hot, it's a dry heat on it. So I actually separate it into 2 different cooking methods, so it comes out the best for me.
I find that, I mean, this is going back to microwave dinners, but how much you perforate the plastic makes a difference. Like if you just like remove the plastic entirely, then that's when you get a lot of the problems with like the center being cold. If you only like put a small puncture in it so that the steam can escape, but most of it still stays trapped under the plastic, then that actually heats more evenly than otherwise.
Yeah.
Well, it's also about where you put it in the microwave, because a lot of people still make the mistake of putting it right directly in the middle. A lot of microwaves don't really work like that. They're actually meant to go around that circle to get the medium heat.
Yes, correct.
Which is why most popcorn fails.
Yeah.
Yeah, this little joke when she's going to cook something like microwave or something like that. Usually you have to, not for all of them, but a lot of them, you do have to poke the top with like a fork or something like that. And it's become this little joke that if she's doing that, she'll grab the fork, look at me, and start stabbing it until I stop her.
Well, that's the other thing when it comes to cooking is what somebody's definition of cooking and somebody else's definition of cooking are different things. Like I will argue with Gordon Ramsay on his snobbery, because there's a certain line of people who cook who aren't using ingredients that he would think of using because it's not traditional. Nobody who's cooking like that is claiming that the food that they're making is traditional. A lot of that stems from people who come from a poor background. Like say you're the college kid student. These are the ingredients that you have to work with. How am I going to use them to make them taste like something I want to actually put in my belly? You know, and that's a lot of what
a lot of myself is a proud Diamantis tradition. I don't know what you're talking about.
So, say, okay, an example of this is, so this guy did a punk for this example, and I love it to death because it's disgusting, but it's funny at the same time. So his response to Gordon Ramsay on people who construct food was to make a beef Wellington with 7-Eleven ingredients, and he did it. Was it necessarily like something you would serve at a 5-star? No, I would probably serve that at a kid's restaurant or at a party, because it was a party favor. But the thing is he still made something that was edible. It was still food. It was still cooking. You know, it's what somebody thinks of as cooking versus what somebody else. Now, do I think that somebody taking a frozen package of food and then reheating it is necessarily cooking? You're reheating food. Is it still cooking? Yeah, you're reheating food. It's not really necessarily cooking it though.
No, but 5 steps. I already counted them.
But here's the thing though. A lot of places who do quick food are doing that. That's how they get the food out to you quickly. Like one of the methods that we would use, we would do hot sandwiches. Well, to evenly cook it, you kind of have to cook the inside separately, because it's making sure that it's even. So some of it was like chicken. We would cook that part in the microwave, and then the rest of it was done in the panini grill. So it was fully cooked. It's just the panini grill is supposed to give it the technique that makes it a panini. It's crispy, it's cooked. But otherwise it's just going to be unevenly cooked. And do I necessarily see that as 5-star cooking? No, but it's still technically cooking. It's just, you know what I'm saying? It's what is defined as cooking. Is making a sandwich necessarily cooking? No. No. If you heat it up, though, it is.
There you go. I can use the toaster and the microwave. I'm
well, I was thinking more of a grilled cheese, but you know, there's techniques for that too. Just don't set your kitchen on fire. Don't trust the British either, because their outlets are different. I don't know if you have the same outlets in Australia.
Ours are different.
Okay, because they seem to set things on fire more often. Barry taught me that.
I think Australia, US, and UK all have totally different plugs.
USB. Yeah, I found that out. Also, apparently American run on higher electricity or something in comparison to the UK. So yeah, you guys tend to set them on fire.
It's different voltages. We run on 120 here, and they run on 220 or 240 there. It's different voltages. It's different voltages, but it's also different amperages. Our volts are lower, our amps are higher. So if you were to grab a light socket in the UK, you'd probably be okay. But if you grab that the same light socket type here in the United States, it'd probably kill you. Because
Yeah.
I mean,
amps is what kills you, not volts.
Yeah, I've been zapped by the light bulb before when I was like a teenager, and
Here?
yeah, I was fine. It was painful, but
What do you guys use as power? Is it 120 or 240?
240.
Yeah, see, that's the deal. You have more. My dad was an electrician, so I got the whole rundown on how this all works. But to be quick about it, voltage is the movement of electricity, where amperage is the power, basically. So yeah, if you have, 30 or 40 amp circuit and you cross it, yeah, you're pretty much dead. It'll kill you because it'll hold you until your heart stops, and then you'll fall and break the circuit, but you'll be dead.
See, it wasn't just that, and I wish I could remember his last name because he's part of the Barshan's group, Ashen's group. But he had an American plug. He did actually have the converter, but I don't think he was paying attention to the wattage part because he should have still turned it on lower anyway. And he had it set on what was supposed to be the right temperature. It caught on fire. Like, he didn't even have it on for more than 30 seconds. He's like, why does it smell like burning plastic? And it's on fire. And he just unplugged it and threw it in his sink.
Mike Gar says in chat, I found out the hard way that the travel adapters do not have a voltage regulator. And that is true, but only for some electronic appliances. Like modern day computers in the United States, at least. I don't know how it is around the world. But if you look at the back of a computer, it'll either have a switch or it'll automatically adjust nowadays. So you can just, because the manufacturers of power supplies got tired of dealing with people burning up power supplies because they were plugging in the wrong way. So they made them to auto switch, or there's now a switch in the back of some of the older ones that would say 120, 240. Even laptops today do that now. They auto switch between the two voltages. It's really not a big deal. Electronically, to auto switch between them is not hard to do. So it's not a big deal. But does Canada? You said Canada's 240, right?
Yeah, we run the same as you guys. Like I probably, if I were to read the package of our appliance packages, most of them are from you.
Oh, okay, so you're 120. That's what we are. We're 120.
Mm-hmm.
UK and Australia 240.
I would say even up to the industrial stuff, because I did recognize that from working like at Safeway and Sobeys. Mm-hmm. Their high-end machines always had an American flag on it. So I started to make the association that, actually we do run fairly similar to you, at least out here. I can't say the same for out east, because some of their cities, like Quebec is an example. Quebec, like the city, is very European based. Like they, you go and walk around their streets, you do kind of feel like you're in old parts of France. But most of our infrastructure is the same as you. And I think it's for similar reasons as you, like fires and floods and tornadoes and things like that. You just start to construct with shit that you can replace quickly.
Right.
Especially when you're going to reheat your homes with gas.
Yeah. No, now that I think about it, when I used to travel up to Toronto, I never had to really worry about the adapter, any kind of adapters. I just plug in the wall, it would work. So now that I think about it, you guys are the same as us. Yeah.
It's really just down to our economics and our politics. It's really different. And even then, it's really easy to think that we run similar because our education, like yours, is limited in that regards. It's up until our stupid kids cross the border and they get their asses whooped verbally by somebody who's American that they realize, oh, we actually are fucking different.
I wonder how Mexico is. I wonder if Mexico, being our southern border, has the same 120 that we have up here, or if they're a little different.
I think they're a little different.
Are they?
I do. Like, I don't think everywhere's different, but I think they are, because I've seen some stuff that's different, but it's more different in the sense that it's old.
You know what I'd do if I was Mexico? 119, just out of spite. You still have to use a converter to plug them in.
Mexico operates on 127-volt power supply and 60 hertz, like the USA, according to Google. So
okay, so maybe maybe they are. I just I just thought I
different.
saw. Maybe it's just that I saw older plugs, but you know, it could just be that they're still using older appliances because I actually have this opinion that we are really absolutely being hoodwinked by the manufacturers, because the stuff that they push out nowadays, yeah, it is lower quality. It looks pretty, but it's lower quality. Like older lamps, older equipment that I have that I got from my grandparents, I'm keeping it because it still works.
Yeah. Just because it's old doesn't mean you throw it away.
You know, the only thing you check for is that the metal is, you know, safe to use, because sometimes old metal isn't cured the same. But yeah, outside of that, yeah, I still use it.
What did you say, Terry?
I said, of course you'd say that, Hammer. You don't want to get thrown out.
Thanks. There are some things that I've upgraded to my house just for efficiency reasons. Our old refrigerator was taking entirely too much energy, and the lights on the outside of the house, we have floodlights around the whole outside of the house, both on the farm and my mom's place, which is where I'm at now. And those had old glass lenses with the original filament inside, the way it used to be, and each one drew 250 watts. And we had them around the outside, like 4 of them on one side of the house and 2 of them on the other side and 2 out back. So just running the 4 across the front of the house, that's 1,000 watts of power. And the light that they would give you wasn't that great. It was kind of yellow.
It's funny. And when you said 250 watts, my mind immediately went to Pulp Fiction. It's like, what ain't no country I ever heard of?
But if you would throw the power switch, which had 4 lights on it for the front, as the switch, you know how switches work, they're just 2 pieces of metal come together to complete the circuit. There would be so much power being drawn across that circuit that as those 2 pieces of metal came closer to get together, it would arc before they closed. That's how much power is being drawn across.
I know exactly how switches work. You can either have them handheld or you can plug them into the TV, and you can play Nintendo games either way.
See, this is the part where I'm both not a mechanic or a carpenter, but I've noticed that, like, and I am basing this off of watching too many abandoned house videos, but it's kind of how we've gone down from that, because a lot of the old houses that I was looking at, they were using old gas heaters or old electric heaters. And we really don't build for any of that anymore. Like, you can still buy them. We sell out of like heaters and things like that, or little units, but they aren't designed at all the same. Like, so I wonder if that's because I don't know that they draw less. They really don't. Like, the units I sell now don't.
Technology will move forward if we let it. As I was mentioning about those lights, I took those lights out. I took those bulbs out. They still worked. I took them out and I replaced them with LEDs, which are much brighter, especially because you can tell an LED what brightness of light you want, not just in lumens, which is overall brightness, but color temperature as well. Everything from like a yellow to almost a blue in color temperature. But I took those 4 lights out and I put 4 LED replacements in, which were much brighter, are going to last much longer. And instead of being 250 watts a piece, they're 25 watts a piece. So I went from throwing a switch that was 1,000 watts to throwing a switch that was 100 watts, saving a lot of money there.
See, that stuff I like. You know, like, that's probably the first thing that's come out in a while where I was like, I can see what they did there. You know, the second one was the bamboo. So I don't like the straws, but I do appreciate that they've started replacing some of the plastic up here with bamboo, because bamboo in my mind is something that's easily replaceable. You cut it down and guess what? Next year you got a whole other bamboo forest.
Yeah, bamboo grows like crazy.
You know, so using it for things like toothpicks or things that you are going to dispose of anyway, knowing that it's something that is biodegradable, bamboo is.
It's highly recyclable too. They crush it up and they use it to help you start fires for like fire logs. You know, those logs that you can put in that are already like designed to catch on fire right away. That's all the outside is all imbued with bamboo. That's why it catches on so quick.
So I'm all for that. Like the only thing that I'm not for is the bamboo toilet paper. I did buy some. I wanted to try it. It still feels like you're wiping your ass with bamboo. They're gonna have to work
I
on
would
that
imagine
one.
so.
I highly recommend that
think
China
so.
needs to bite their tongue and stop trying to invade Japan, because Japan has magic with making toilet paper. We send them shit tons of trees and they send us back some of the nicest toilet paper on the planet. So, maybe just send them your bamboo and they could figure out something. But maybe stop being a prick first, because I don't think Japan wants to talk to you very much right now.
You sent Japan a whole bunch of bamboo. It's going to come back with tentacles. They're going to find a way to put tentacles on it.
Yeah.
But it'll be nice and comfy on your bumhole, okay?
Sure. Well, 1 out of every 10 men will find it enjoyable.
My parents used to drive me crazy that when I was younger, they would, whenever they went to the store to get toilet paper, they would just find whatever one was closest to them or maybe cheapest. I don't know, but they always bought something different every time they went to the store. And I was like, this is too thin, and I have to use multiple pieces of it to make it thick enough to where it was safe. Then the next time I get it, it'd be thick. It'd be like, I'm wasting all this because it's so thick. Like, got annoying to me when I was a kid. So I when I got older, I was like, I'm gonna find a brand and I'm gonna stick with them.
Stick with it.
Yeah. And that has worked for me. So
yeah, I like consistency too. So like, I know this brand, I use this much and it works this well, and then just stick with it.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta wonder, some of these places when they make this, do they actually think someone can use just, X amount of sheets and not put a hole in it? I mean, it's just so thin that there's no way. You have to just wrap it before it's safe,
I think the idea is that it's cheap, and people who want cheap will buy it and then not realize that they have to use more of it, so it ends up costing them the same anyway.
Or more.
It also hurts more. And I always wonder why they don't have regrets. Like a year of using that shit, and you're like, your bum hole has to be redder than mine.
Yeah. Well, it's always been the for me to know that I got the right stuff is that women don't complain.
Yeah.
Because they got to use it in other places.
About anything I buy. No women complain about anything I buy, so I must be doing it right.
There you go. That's really the reason why, my mom, I would think my mom would buy something that was consistently smooth for her, because you guys got to use a lot more than we do, guys.
Well, like, here's the thing. I'm just I am a little bit practical in that sense. Like, I do want something that's not going to hurt, because you have to do it every day.
Right.
You're going to be doing it multiple times a day.
Yeah.
So you do want something that's not going to cause you problems down there, because it is your physical health. And it is one of those things where I do respect some women for, is things like skincare. It doesn't seem like it's a big deal, but actually overall it is. Like, in the long run, it does help you out. It might seem superficial, but it's not. But when it comes to toilet paper, I'm still aware of what it is. It's a one-time use thing that clogs things up. It causes problems in the system. So I'm not opposed to stuff that's gonna work better. I just don't want it to be painful.
I used to think that using something gave the body the idea that it didn't need to do that anymore, so it would give up. I'm not sure if this is actually true. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But I never used chapstick, not because I didn't get chapped lips, but I thought, if I start using chapstick, then my body's going to see that my lips are always moisturized, so my body will no longer moisturize my lips, and I'll become dependent on the chapstick. I don't know if that's necessarily true or not. To this day, I still don't know if that's true. I still don't use chapstick.
I don't know what. I've never used chapstick.
I think it's the excessive use people. It's always a little bit like that. So up here where I am, not necessarily all of Canada, but where I am, it's dry as fuck. So one of the things that they recommend that you do, you wash your hands, you let them dry, and then you should really moisturize your hands afterwards. You don't need a lot of moisturizer, just a little bit. You don't have to do it every time, but at least like once or twice a day, you should probably do at least a little bit. And the reason is because it's so dry. Even if you are drinking the right amount of water, your skin is going to be so cracked that what you wash off isn't going to hit everything. It doesn't. It doesn't actually hit the full surface. It'll just hit the top. So your hands, even if you washed your hands, are still fucking filthy. But if you moisturize just enough to keep that skin from cracking, it keeps your hands cleaner. So it's about how much are you using. Like, I know people who, and yeah, I hated them for it because they're so excessive. It's that I have to wash my hands, and then I have to use the sanitizer, and then I use the hand moisturizer every single time, and it's overuse. So yeah, your skin gets used to it, or it actually cancels each other because they can cancel each other.
I have dry skin because I'm diabetic. So I have to put moisturizer on my legs because my skin is incapable of moisturizing my legs.
Yeah.
It just won't do it anymore. So it gets cracked and flaky and awful. So I have a diabetic medicated cream that I have to put on both feet. It's a requirement. If I don't, the skin will break. Once the skin breaks,
Glaxo?
I'm sorry?
Are you using Glaxo?
I don't even know what that is.
It's the one my brother has to use, but he has the same.
This is just diabetic skin. I don't remember what the name of it is, but my doctor said this is what you want to buy. It's a water-based skin cream for my feet. So I put it on every time after I take a shower and I'm all dried off. Before I do anything else, I want to put socks on, because I have to walk around. I have to put the stuff on my feet. So I put my feet, put my sock. I put the stuff on my feet, put my socks on right away. To try to keep the moisture in as much as I can. And it's the only thing that, even doing this, the next day after I take a shower, my skin is still dry again. Even after putting it on and putting socks on, it's still dry the next day. So if I skip 2 or 3 days, if I skip 2 or 3 days, it's flaky again. So I have to do it every time.
Yeah, so Hammer, one of the things I was saying about my brother, and I'm only saying this to you because you're probably smarter than he is, but he just let it go. He didn't do anything.
Can't do that.
So he got the bacteria infection.
Ooh.
And it was just it. And I'm not saying this to pick on him. It's more because it traumatized me a little bit to see him in so much pain. But it looked like somebody who was a victim of old school syphilis, like the stuff that had gone so bad that it was warping their bones.
Yeah. No, I've definitely been in the position where it's very easy for my feet to have problems because of all the things in my body get the least amount of circulation. So if I get a cut down there or I step on something and it pokes me, it's going to get infected right away.
That's what they told him.
It's going to be surgery and antibiotics. You just want to stay away from that. You can't, because it's hit both my feet already. My left foot has no toes. My right foot only has 3 toes. So it's very easy for me to start losing pieces, and I don't want to get in that position again. So I'm very, very diligent, only because I know I have to be.
Well, I will say that, so I don't have the full experience because I just have my brother, but it does look like they're a little bit better at catching it. But he got close at least 3 times to losing his legs because it got up to his groins.
Oof.
And he's managed to kick it out this time, but like, I'm glaring at him right now because I can smell his room. Like, you step on one damn thing and you're back in there, and then I have to clean your fucking room again.
Yeah, I literally, honest to God, a week does not go by where I don't vacuum the entire house. I'm a guy. A week does not go by that I vacuum. If I see the carpet start, like little pieces of white on the carpet, lint from a shirt or something like that, I'll vacuum. I'm not going to take any chance because that's how I lost all the toes and most of my front foot on my left foot was I stepped on a splinter. And because I'm diabetic, I can't feel my feet. I don't know that I stepped on a splinter. So I'm walking around thinking everything's fine. And it's underneath, so I can't see it. I can't feel it. It's not bleeding because the hole is plugged with the splinter.
Right.
So it starts rotting from the inside out.
Ugh.
Yeah, and by the time I notice, hey, my toes look a little dark. And you turn them underneath, and it's all black and green underneath. It's
that's a fear. That is a fear.
Yeah. So I have a tendency, if we need something from the patio is not heated. It's enclosed, but it's not heated. And that's where our freezer is. And if I need something from the freezer, I'll either put shoes on to go out to get it, because I'm usually in socks in the house. The doctor wants the feet to move to help with stimulation with blood flow. So you don't want to leave the shoes on all the time because the bottom of your feet just stays stiff. So she wants me not to wear shoes in the house. But if there's something I need out in the freezer, I'll put shoes on, go out, take the shoes off when it comes back in, or I'll ask her to get them for me because I'm just afraid of that happening because that's where it happened. It happened on our back patio.
So I'm going to go onto my calendar and write "Do not get diabetes" for every single day, just as a reminder.
Don't get it.
It sounds fucking terrible.
It is terrible. The thing is, people don't realize that they just hear diabetes and they think,
Sugar.
They think, right. They think sugar. They think, what's that guy's name? The guy, diabetes. What's his name? That
yeah. I don't know his name.
With the mustache, the big white mustache.
I know. Well, is it Wilford Brimley?
Wilford Brimley. That's who it is. Yeah. Everyone knows that, and they know about sugar and taking your blood sugar temperature or your blood sugar reading on the meter and all that kind of stuff. But they don't realize that blood sugar is a very small part of it. I mean, it's a damaging part. But even if you have your blood sugar under control, you still have diabetes. So all the things that come along with diabetes still happens to you. Everything is still impacted.
It's like I say about BG, blind girl, that blindness was just a symptom of her diabetes. That wasn't what she was suffering from. That was just what she had with it.
Yeah.
It was everything else. It was the heart. It was the heart problems. She had problems with her feet too. Like she had to go in all the time to have stuff scraped off. And
I still do that.
And it was all the little things. And yeah, sugar is a part of it. But even when she had a handle on her sugar, in all honesty, being single the way that she was, if it wasn't for her heart monitors and how many people were keeping track of her on her numbers, she would have died 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Because she had people in England who, just because of the time zone, they were just, they're awake at the time when she's getting up or when her numbers are in question, and they would call. And I think they called ambulances for her at least a couple times because she was collapsed on the floor and couldn't do anything. And diabetes is I fear for a lot of people with it because a lot of people are ignoring it.
The thing that bothers me the most about diabetes are the little things, limitations that happen to you that a lot of people don't even know about. Like it is 78 degrees in my bedroom because the computer's on. The computer makes the room a little warm. And my hands feel like they're in an ice bucket. They're not. If I were to put my hand on my face, my hands are fine. But they feel cold, even though they're not cold. Same thing with my feet. Also, retinal, what's the term? Jesus, neuropathy, retinal neuropathy. Say that 3 times fast. I can look at things. I'm not blind. My vision's actually pretty good. My left eye is 20/25 and my right eye is 20/40. So that's not bad for a 60-year-old. That's still pretty good. My glasses, the average person can put my glasses on and still see just fine. They're not like bottle bottoms, whatever. So my actually prescription is good. But if I look at, like right now I'm looking at the StreamYard screen, right? And it has the live viewer comments show up on the StreamYard in the top right corner where you can type chat into each other. And I look at the word StreamYard, and if I just look at the word StreamYard, I can't see the whole word. I know it says StreamYard because I've seen it before. I know it's supposed to be there. But I'll see ST, I won't see the R, I won't see the E, I'll see the AM, I won't see the Y, but I'll see the ARD. And in place of those letters, it is white, as if somebody went by and they erased it with a marker. Now, if I look at the ST, then the REA shows up. And if I look at the ARD, then the Y will show up. But if I just try to look at the entire thing, there's letters missing. And it's because my brain is compensating for it. It knows what it is. I know what it is. My brain knows what it is. It's made out the idea of what that word is. But the part in my eyes that cannot see, my brain says, well, he can't see what's there. What's behind what he sees? That's white. Well, we'll just make it white then.
Yeah, no, that's exactly how it does it. It guesses what's there, what is behind, like in that blind spot.
Yeah, it's it's so I can. That's why sometimes I have a hard time reading things live on the air, because it takes a couple extra milliseconds for my mind to recreate the word for the missing parts of that word.
He's just illiterate. Don't listen to him.
I used to be able to read like this, no problem. My reading skills, my vocabulary have always been very good. But between the neuropathy and the stroke, I just cannot read an entire paragraph without stumbling somewhere along the way.
I can't help but think that this is something, yet again, it's not planned, but it's one of those things where humans have kind of caused their own folly. And I don't know that it's across the board, because places where you see high cases of diabetes, surprisingly Asia, because they like rice. Rice is not really good for diabetics if it's white. It's just how that is. It is, but it's the truth. You tell them that and they're like, well, it's the truth. But our diet over here is more that we put sugar in everything. Like cereal is an example. The reason like a Fruit Loops has so much sugar in it is it's supposed to compensate for the fact that the vitamins that is in it taste like shit.
Of course. I actually, one time at work, I had to explain to someone, because they're like showing me this thing that's, look, there's no fat in it. I can eat it. And it's like, but it's probably got lots of sugar in it. Because it can't have sugar in it. It says there's no fat. It's like, fat and sugar are different things.
Mm-hmm.
Like I actually had to explain to this person that no, they're not the same. There's no fat in sugar. That's not how this works.
Yeah, that's why they say things like low sodium, low sugar, low fat.
Yeah.
You get to the point with cereals where there's nothing in it. It's just like cardboard.
Yeah.
Let's take all the flavor and all the sugar and all the sweetness and all the tanginess. Let's take everything out.
This person thought that no fat meant that there was also no sugar, because in their mind, sugar makes you fat, so it must contain fat.
There's a lot of people who are like that. But here's the thing, like Weetabix, as an example, I don't know if you guys have had Weetabix. I think they come from the UK, but it's basically
we don't have the A. We just call them Weet-Bix.
Okay, so you do know what I'm talking about. But you know what I mean. As a basic cereal, it's basically a brick of whole wheat that you put milk on. There is no sugar in it, but at the same time, if you ate it just as it is, it's still high in fat, because wheat is fat. We feed it to cows and pigs for a reason, because it's a fattener. But on its own, it's fine. Here's the thing. Starting off with one of those, you're probably okay with just putting on like a little bit of sugar or a little cinnamon if you want to do it. That's your healthiest cereal. From there, we've gone up from that. Like Cheerios might be the closest thing to it, but even still, you've formed it into something. And I'm always going to question how much of anything is in something that's formed. I do think Cheerios is probably the lowest in sugar, though, because by taste, it's as close to a Weetabix as I've found. But yet again,
I used to eat Weet-Bix, just like no milk, just dry. Just pick up one of the Weet-Bix, like put a bowl under it so I don't spill crumbs everywhere, and just eat the thing.
Yeah,
just plain. And it's like very, very bland. I don't know what the hell I was thinking, but I used to do that as a kid.
But yeah, that's just it. That is actually kind of the reality of it. Like, is it boring? Would I want to necessarily do that all the time? No, I don't like Fruit Loops, actually. I think I've never liked what it did to milk. I've never liked what it did to milk.
See, I never put milk on my cereal. And even like as a kid, which was the only time I ever ate cereal, I used to eat it dry. I never used to put milk on. I didn't like how soggy it made the cereal.
I've had to opt out of most of this entirely because I can't have wheat at all. And that may be now thinking about hearing from Jen that wheat has a lot of fat in it. That may be the reason why I'm not having that much of a problem maintaining a good weight.
Like
I don't eat any
corn
wheat.
What about corn? Like corn puffs.
I love corn.
See, corn is another one. Like, it's not bad on its own. It's not even bad as a small amount because it's still a grain, but it's still a fattener.
Yeah, I'm big on rice.
I only know one of their songs. I can't really comment on how good corn is.
Yeah, I'm big on rice. I mean, it you can use rice in so many different ways, and it tastes good. And I mean, I can't imagine it's something that makes you heavy, because the entire country of China is big on rice, and none of them look particularly fat. I mean, you get the sumo wrestlers, but the average populace, they're not overweight. They're not an overweight country, and they depend a lot on rice. So I got to imagine that of the four, oatmeal, corn, wheat, rice is probably a safe bet. And my system doesn't seem to have a problem with it. I can have, chicken fried rice, and for like lunch, and have a sizable portion, and I'm good for most of the day. Matter of fact, that's what I had today for lunch.
Yeah, but you wouldn't want to do it all the time for the same reason that you don't necessarily have the bun with your hamburger. And it's like I said, it has to do with the sugar. Like the thing with China is, like everybody, not everybody processes sugar the same. So if you are diabetic, that kind of diet is going to make you suffer. And you can actually get a variety of rice in China. I mean, I don't live there. I don't know what kind of rice they get, but I imagine it's more varieties than what we see.
Yeah.
But brown rice is actually really good for you. It's just they take the husk part off when they make the white rice, and they bleach it. Not bleach with like bleach. I think it's blanching is what it is. But I don't know the technique. I've never done it myself.
They make it white.
But it's kind of like wheat in the sense that it's taking that stuff out that kind of causes more sugar. I don't know what it is with the sugar, but it makes it all sugar. There's no fiber to help you process it. Maybe that's what it is. I wouldn't be surprised if that isn't part of it, because like a lot of things, like because we take one thing out of the diet no longer works for everybody. Or like because we added something to it, it no longer works for everybody. I don't know. I just know that when I had to take this nutrition course with my brother, they had a lot of Asians who were giving the lady the stink eye, because she was like, no more just white rice all the time. For every bowl of white rice, you maybe want to have 3 that are brown, or at least with wild rice or something. Yeah. Which I was fine with that, because there's some really good wild rice. Like I like the really long dark grains.
Yeah, long grain, dark. That's my favorite. I don't know if you guys have rice-a-roni. Yeah, that's my favorite. There's like rice-a-roni comes in like a whole bunch of different flavors, and one of them is long grain, dark rice, and it's really. Do you have rice-a-roni in Australia? Rice-a-roni, the San Francisco treat. Terry's gone.
Yeah, we got to rice. No, that one is probably one of my favorites, but it's also not a white rice. Just saying, it's just I think it has more flavor. But I'm not even knocking rice, because I like white rice. I prefer it to the brown rice. I'm like, okay, I know that's the diabetic route. It's also probably healthier for my gut, but it's not as tasty. It doesn't fry as nice as white rice does. I'm like that.
It's come down to me where I don't have very many options on what I can eat. So if you say, well, no wheat, we'll just break that down quickly with no wheat. No bread, no pasta, no cereals, because they're all just full of wheat, all of them. No cookies, no cakes. Just by saying no wheat wipes out all of that stuff, So, and I would say 75% of the vegetables out there, I can't eat those either. So it comes down to I can eat meats and rice. It's basically what my meal has to be. Every once in a while, I can go a little bit outside of that. But like yesterday, my meal was a burger and fries in the morning, and chicken McNuggets in the afternoon. And even then, the chicken nuggets was a little bit of a problem, because the breading has wheat in it.
So can you eat bread that doesn't necessarily have the wheat? Because I know there's certain rye that they mix different flours with it.
Haven't tried it. The only thing that seems weird that I can eat, it's really weird, because as far as I know, this should be a problem, but it hasn't been for me, is I can eat potato bread.
Okay.
It still has wheat in it.
All right. But I think it's the fiber.
Maybe
it is the fiber, because like I so one of the things that the nutritionist taught me in reading the back of the package was like bread is supposed to be one of the ways in which we get our fiber, And I was reading the back of the packages, and even the ones that were like high in fiber, and it's like 7 grams of fiber. I'm like, that's not going to do shit for my brother. I was like, I might as well make his sandwiches with Weetabix because I might give him some fiber. But a lot of wheat, like maybe I get that from old school thinking, but we do take a lot of that out. A lot of it's not in there as much as you'd think. Like I try to. I can't afford the nice breads, you know, so I try to compensate with him with getting the rye because at least rye has more fiber. It's a little bit less wheat. It's a little bit less white flour. It's a little bit less sugar.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
My doctor has recommended to me to use fiber supplements. And I've tried a few. And the one that I've been happiest with is Citrusel.
Yep. Okay.
Because and if you look at Metamucil, it'll say that it has no wheat. But if you go to their website, it'll say contains so little wheat that we can say that it contains not enough to affect you, but it still has wheat in it. Where Citrusel says no wheat. It's based on citrus. It's based on oranges, citrus.
Yeah.
So that
which has a lot of fiber in it.
Right, which has no wheat at all. So it's perfect for me. So if you're looking for a supplement, I've been using Citrusel 2 8-ounce glasses a day for about 3 months now, and it's been perfect. No problems at all.
See, I think it is a lot of that. Like I know that's stuff that they make jokes about when you're getting older, but I think it is actually something that even youths don't get enough fiber.
I eat whatever Chef Good puts in their meals. So if I'm getting too much fiber, not enough, you'll have to take it up with them.
Yeah, you'll find that when you get closer to my age, that'll change. You'll have to monitor your fiber. That'll be a while. You got a while.
Yeah, I got 20 years.
I already had my old man joke today, though, because I managed to catch at least some of the AAA because I took a nap. I'm sorry, AAA. I was like, you know, I need that hour and a half, and I'm going to take that hour and a half. But for part of it, it was long enough for me to take the piss out of Drunkle because I just wanted to point out that between plum pudding and figgy pudding, neither of them deserve to be in a song anymore. There are far better Christmas desserts. But that's another old person dessert because it's made with the fruit that comes from fruitcake. I think one of them is like plums, like prunes, and figs, like figs. And then they boil it in a ball. And they call it dessert. And you're like, no, thank you.
No.
Don't hold up my house over that shit. Thank you.
It doesn't sound good.
No.
It's funny though. There's some stuff that you eat sound terrible until you eat it. And then suddenly it's like, wow, this is actually really good. Like my mom used to make pierogies with cabbage in the center. Boiled cabbage.
Okay. Yeah.
Have you ever had it before?
Not like that, but I could see why it'd be good.
It's really,
I don't
really
even
good.
know what a pierogi is, so
it's like a dumpling.
My mom did a lot of cabbage rolls, so I could see that actually being really good because when she did the cabbage rolls, it was always with pierogies. So if you kind of eat them on the same plate, I could see why that would be good.
Yeah. Kibernam says in chat, like eggnog. I've never had eggnog because it sounds like eggs and liquor.
It is.
It sounds awful.
It does.
Is it awful?
It's raw eggs too. It's raw eggs too. They freeze them, so it kills all the bacteria.
Is it disgusting?
No, it's actually really good.
It sounds awful. I got to agree with Hammer. I haven't tried it. I will say that, but it doesn't sound like a good combination of ingredients.
It's eggs and milk and liquor, right? Is that what eggnog is?
But it's frozen, so
sounds
it kills.
awful.
Yeah, but it's the thing with the egg is when you blend it to the point that they blend it, it becomes frothy. So you don't actually taste it like an egg. It's more like a cream. So it's like you mix it so it's like almost like a creamy thick liquid, and then it's frozen or like it's partially frozen. It kills all the bacteria that would be in the egg yolk.
You're not making it sound any better.
No, it's one of those things where you try it and then somebody tells you that there's egg in it and you're like, what? And then but it's so good, and you don't understand why it's so good. And I just don't like the latte, because the thing is the reason it works is because it was frozen. The idea of cooking it afterwards, yeah, I could see a lot of noobs making scrambled egg lattes, and I was opposed to that.
It's
You're
also
welcome.
known as milk punch.
Yeah, that's not making it sound any
No,
better.
no. Oh, this is terrible. Tier agrees. He says it's terrible. I don't.
I like it.
I'm not gonna. I don't think I'm ever gonna try it. It'd have to be a bet. I'd have to lose a bet to try that.
No, see, I would try it, but I wouldn't go out of my way to try it. So if I was at a party, not to pretend that I go to parties, and there was eggnog there, then, yeah, sure, I'll try it. But I'm not gonna like buy it for myself or go to any effort to acquire it. It's just if I happen to be in a situation where it's there, I've been curious about this. I'll give it a shot. But
it's not terrible. It also has to be seasoned right too. Don't let the assholes who are obsessed with pumpkin spice anywhere near it, because pumpkin shouldn't be anything. It is like cinnamon, nutmeg, that kind of. You always got to have nutmeg in something fancy like that because it's supposed to be fancy. But it's supposed to have like Christmassy kind of flavors to it. Not necessarily pumpkin pie.
If it's got milk in it, I can't have it anyway, so it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't. Yeah, if you can't do milk, I think the weirdest one I saw, our vegans are on the prowl up here. They're like, oh, we want to do Christmas too, so they have one that's even more vomit worthy, and it's made with oat milk. I'm like, oat milk, no. I'm like,
jeez.
I can't have. How do you milk an oat?
I know, right? But also, how is that still vegan? Because there's egg yolk in it.
How do you milk an almond?
Yeah, it's the same question.
Little tiny nipples on the almond.
Yeah.
No, I can't have milk. Not vitamin D, skim milk, 1% milk. I can't have. What's the kind that has no lactose? Lactate. Can't have that. The only thing I haven't tried now is this milk called One Milk. Have you guys heard of it?
Nope.
It's like even more restrictive than lactate is.
Okay.
So that's the only thing I haven't tried. But it's my own fault. I'm not 100% sure when it comes right down to it what's killing me. But I did have some Frosted Flakes in lactate, and I threw it up. So you're talking about Frosted Flakes, which is what? Wheat, and lactate, which is milk, which I'm not supposed to really have either one of them. And I had both of them. And of course, I lost it. But I don't really know if it was the wheat that got me or if it was the milk. And at this point, I've gotten so disgusted with both of them, I'm just going to write them both off.
Fair enough.
So.
Keith says, as well as eggnog, I should try pumpkin pie. Look, if I get the chance to try pumpkin pie, I will try that well before I'm willing to try eggnog.
Well, didn't Jen say that pumpkin doesn't belong in anything? Not even on pie?
No, I didn't say that. Pumpkin pie is fine. Pumpkin in muffins is fine. Pumpkin in cookies is fine. Pumpkin in coffee.
I'm not a huge fan of pumpkin, but if someone like there was a pumpkin pie for me to try, I'd be like, sure, I'll give it a go.
Isn't pumpkin bitter?
Maybe pie plum is the one way that pumpkin excels. I don't know.
Pumpkin is a squash.
Isn't it bitter though?
No, it's all about how you cook it. Like the skin might be bitter, but it's a squash. It's a little bit more sweet than other squashes, so I can understand why they put it into a pie. But squash it's technically a fruit.
But it maybe when you talk about pies, they're almost always full of sugar anyway. I mean, if you make an apple pie, there's like a whole cup of sugar in with it too.
Every Brit that I know is sneering at you right now because they're like, actually, their pies come with meat.
Yes, I was going to say, I've the only fruit-based pie that I've tried in with like is apple, but I've also had like one slice of cherry pie because I found a restaurant way back when I found a restaurant that actually had like fruit pies as the dessert, and so there's like blueberry pie, apple pie, and cherry pie. So those are the three fruit-based pies that I've tried.
I always thought that cherry pie was a little on the bitter side. I don't really like cherry pie. I love apple pie.
Apple pie is the best out of the three.
I can't eat it anymore because the crust is made out of wheat.
But no, when I think of a pie, like if you with no other descriptor, I think of a meat pie.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think of a meat pie, and like you have to specify apple or pumpkin or whatever if you want me to think of a fruit-based pie. You have to
read keyword name in chat. It's like chicken pot pie, pizza pie. She's coming up with all these options. I always thought like, you know, apple, cherry, blueberry, but I also thought like coconut cream, Boston cream pie. You know, I always think of the desserts, like the sweet stuff. It never even crosses my mind.
No, I'm the opposite.
Like shepherd's pie,
me,
you know?
Yeah, a shepherd's pie, for instance. Like for me, a pie is a meat-based dish unless you specify, no, I mean an apple pie. I'm like, oh, okay, no.
Here we go in chat. Pizza is not a pie, it is a quiche.
Fair enough.
Here we go. Is soup or is it cereal? What is?
Well, I believe it's called an open face pie when it doesn't have a top crust, because you know, there's meringue pie that doesn't have a top crust at all, or
right, coconut cream doesn't have a top crust.
Pecan.
Yeah, pecan pie doesn't have a top crust. Those are all pies.
But yeah, there's different types of pies. But yeah, I do acknowledge that the original pie was technically meat. It was. But the crust was also called a coffin, and they used it as a bowl.
What is in shepherd's pie? Do you know the ingredients?
So shepherd's pie,
it's
potatoes
lamb, it's gravy.
All right, so
it's got mashed potato on the top.
Right. What else?
There's like lamb, there's gravy, there's gonna be the peas and carrots. I'm not sure what else is in there, but that's the basics. It's like lamb, gravy, potato on top, peas and carrots. I think that's about it.
It sounds like lamb instead of chicken, and it sounds like a chicken pot pie. It sounds like the same basic ingredients for us.
Yeah, I don't know what a pot pie is, but sure, I'm sure you could replace the lamb with chicken. Because like if you replace the lamb with beef, it's a cottage pie. I know that.
Oh, okay.
Most people over here have a cottage pie, but we do tend to find people who call it a shepherd's pie because we don't use a lot of ground cheese.
The difference between those pies and a pot pie is the pot pie has a top crust.
Well, it's also in a pie crust alone. The shepherd's pie or the cottage pie doesn't have a crust.
Oh, really?
No, it's a layered thing. So basically what Terry said is the most common recipe. I think the only difference is I've seen some with like tomato paste in it, but it's basically, it's a meat mixture. So think what you would do for like a taco, but different seasoning, different, like that part is different. But it's just the meat base. And then you do your mashed potatoes on top, and that's always going to be different for whoever's making it. Cause I do different stuff. I used to put cream cheese in mine, and then I would top it with a little cheese because I'm extra.
You guys are making me hungry.
Yeah.
Cannibalistic Wizard in chat has the thing is potatoes, cream, green beans, carrots, ground meat, celery, seasonings, and gravy.
Yeah.
So,
it sounds good.
It is.
It's really good.
Is.
Yeah. It's a hearty meal too. Like if you had like a worksman's day or like miserable weather or something, it's really nice for that kind of stuff.
I'm gonna have to try it because it sounds like it has all the things. The cream might be a problem for me, but I think everything else I should be able to deal with. I think I can eat it and get away with it.
Can you eat mashed potatoes though? Doesn't that have milk?
Man, potatoes! I can eat the fuck out of potatoes. Like
but mashed potatoes specifically.
Mashed potatoes, French. Well, it depends. The only thing with mashed potatoes is you can't put any butter in it.
Oh, okay.
Just plain old mashed potatoes are fine.
I would have thought there's milk in mashed potatoes.
No, not for me. Mashed
so
potatoes is just a potato that's mashed up.
It's not the same as using butter, but when you can't use things like butter, mayo is actually a decent compensation if you can have mayo.
That's awful.
You'd be surprised. It's actually okay in mashed potatoes.
It's got a strong taste, though. I mean, if I put mayo on a
ham
sandwich,
whatever version of mayo you like. If you prefer Miracle Whip, I don't care.
Is Miracle Whip less tasty than I don't need either one, so I don't really know. But
I don't know. Some people are like Miracle Whip, or then there's the people who are like, oh, it's mayo. You know, I've never like.
I know they're
Give it a
different.
shit
I
either
just
way,
don't
but-
know what the difference is between them. So, do you realize that it's 10:15 and we haven't even gotten to the topics I had for today?
I know.
I did notice, but I didn't want to.
I don't really care.
Ruin the flow of the
I don't really
conversation.
care.
So.
If you guys want to hear about any of these kind of stuff, you know, you can always check out Jeremy or DeFranco or Monkey or somebody else, because they're hitting these topics too. It's not just me. I don't think we're learning anything. You know, this is just the 4,000-page omnibus bill, Trump's taxes being released to the public. We all know about that, and the fact that the winter's coming. So that's a Game of Thrones reference. Even though I've never watched Game of Thrones. Winter's coming.
No, me neither.
So, well,
I just assume Winter is some sort of stripper or prostitute, and that's why she's coming.
never name your daughter Winter.
No.
How much time do you have, Jen? You want to get out of here, or do you have time to chit chat? Because I'll keep going with this.
Well, we're still good. We got the rest of the hour at least, but I'm still good.
I can eat the fuck out of potatoes. I'll tell you right now. I could just eat potatoes 24/7, and if it wasn't for the fact that it will make me fat, I can eat potatoes. I mean, I literally have like French fries almost every day. It's one of those things that I can eat. I can eat a lot of, and my system is completely fine with it. It doesn't hurt me in the least bit. And there's nothing really else except for just straight out meats. Like if I have a piece of chicken that's just not fried with any kind of just baked chicken, I can eat the hell out of that, and that's fine as long as you don't put anything else on it. Same thing with meat, steak, ground beef, turkey, all those meats I have no problems with. It's just everything that goes along with them. So if I get like a sandwich, it's going to have mayonnaise. I can't tolerate that. It's going to have mayo, or if I get it in like a sub, it's going to have oil and vinegar, or oregano, or that kind of stuff. I can't have any of that. I can't have the bun. Only thing I can tolerate is flatbread, and even that's a little dicey. I try to eat around it as much as I can. So, but I love potatoes, man. You cannot. Of all the types of potatoes I've ever had in my life, I can't think of one I didn't like. Like pizza.
Yeah, potatoes are good. I do like potatoes.
Love them. Baked potatoes with nothing on them. Just plain baked potatoes. No butter, no sour cream, no chives, nothing. I'll eat it every day, no problem. Love it.
Yeah, I think mashed potatoes is probably my favorite form of potato, but there's like lots of good ones.
I used to love McDonald's French fries, but there's a company that, of course, is in Idaho, because that's where all the potatoes come from in the United States. That makes frozen French fries in bags that you can get from the grocery store, and you just throw them in the oven for like 30 minutes, and they come out perfect. They're full of potato, and they're nice and crispy on the outside, like a McDonald's fry is nice and crispy, but the inside actually has potato on the inside. It's not just that, because McDonald's French fries are so thin, so small, that there's just crust. There's no real potato inside of them, I have them at least once every other day.
I do like McDonald's. I would think of them as hot chips, but French fries for the.
You and your chips.
But no, I do like the fries / chips from.
Who is the best fast food French fry? Who has the best one? This is for chat too. Go ahead and jump in on this.
I don't know.
I know my favorite. I'm just asking you guys.
I even when I was using DoorDash, I didn't eat a lot of what you would think of as fast food. Like I was ordering from restaurants that delivered rather than McDonald's or Hungry Jack's or something like that.
So, in terms of fast food, surprisingly, it wasn't necessarily fast food so much as it was a fairly decent grocery store potato wedge that was really good.
Yeah, but you're limited. You're limited. I'm limiting you. You have to pick a fast food French fry. If you're gonna go out and someone said, let's get some French fries from a fast food place, which fast food? That's become quite a tongue twister. French fries from the fast food store.
I forget the name of the place, but you wouldn't have heard of it anyway. But when I was on the DoorDash, there was a place that I always used to get a pie and a thing of fries, and they had really, really good ones.
You can say chips if you really, really need to. It's okay.
I can't remember the name of the restaurant, but yeah, I always used to get like either a pie or a hot dog from them, and then the hot chips as well. And yeah, no, they had really, really good ones, but I'll have to look up what the hell they were called.
Keyradam says McDonald's. Joel McLaughlin, hello Joel. Says Arby's curly fries, which I've never heard or I've never had, but I have had curly fries, just not from Arby's. Mr. Adams says Wendy's, and then Tier says a tie between Checkers and Arby's. I guess that's Arby's, ARBUS.
Yeah,
Arby's. Yeah, Arby's.
I was thinking about naming Arby's too, just because in terms of uniqueness, they are a little bit better. It's based off the seasoning too, though.
It's funny. Keyradam put in an icon, and it looks like a McDonald's French fries. That's funny. If I had to pick one, it would definitely be the chicken only place. Eat More Chicken. What am I thinking of? This is where a stroke stops you in your tracks when you.
Is that Wendy's?
No, that's not Wendy's. It's Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A, that's it.
Best French fries. They have waffle fries. Oh.
I've never been to Chick-fil-A. I'm pretty sure there's none in Australia.
They scramble the eggs. They scramble eggs, and then they take a little brush, and they brush the little bit of the scrambled eggs on the outside of the of the French fry, the waffle fry. So when
scrambled eggs are good. I do like scrambled eggs.
Yeah, when they bake it, it gives it kind of a little bit of a crust on the outside. Oh my God, it's so good. Chick-fil-A, yeah, Chick-fil-A. Thank you. Now, I'm going to want to go to Chick-fil-A now because I haven't been in a while. You know, they close. I can hear rumors that they close the Chick-fil-A that's near me. I hear that they closed it down. It was it was inside whatchamacallit, a university. There's a university up here called Misericordia University, and it was for the students. And when COVID came along, they were only open 3 days a week originally, and when COVID came along, they shut it down entirely. Or what I have heard as a rumor, I do not know for sure. But now that COVID's over, I'm hoping they either open back up or somebody else moved in there or something like that, because the nearest Chick-fil-A for me now is like an hour away. So I
think you just show up in your shirt that says music band, carrying 2 skateboards and a backwards cap, and you say, "How do you do, fellow kids? I would like some Chick-fil-A. I'm a student here."
Hello, fellow kids. Who was the actor who did that with the teeth? What was his name?
Steve Buscemi.
Steve Buscemi. He's a funny guy. Anyway, I'm gonna get out. You guys are making me too hungry now. I have to get something.
I made sure to eat before the stream, so I'm fine. But I know you do it the other way around.
I had chicken and rice before, but I had it like at 3 o'clock. So it's 10 o'clock now. It's time to eat. So.
Fair enough. I will probably eat in about 3-4 hours, so plenty of time until then.
Awesome. All right. Well, I guess we probably should get out of here then. Thanks everybody as always for chatting with us tonight. I'm sorry we didn't get to the topics, but I kind of enjoyed the show not getting to the topics for a change. So that was kind of fun. Remember, we're all just trying to get our Rumble channel up and running. So if you have an account on Rumble, go ahead and give us a follow there. Eventually, we're going to live stream there. So we're going to be helping the Minions grow if we can get that channel going. As far as YouTube, if you can't wait for the next Wednesday show, remember, the Minions are live every evening, including weekends, with most shows starting around 11:30 p.m. Eastern, 7 days a week. Post and start times are linked in the description down below, along with our Rumble channel, hint, hint. We will be back next Wednesday at 9 p.m. as usual. Hope everybody enjoyed the show, and we'll see you again next week. Have a great night, everybody.
Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas!